it proved that they're the best team in the NFL currently, regardless of conference, because they went on the road and they did what we thought was unthinkable, is that they dominated a team that had dominated mostly over the last 6 weeks, everybody that they had played. But that doesn't mean just because you dominate one team that we thought were the best, that automatically puts you into the Super Bowl. There's still a long road, and then you have to worry about injury. Hopefully none of that happens. And all of their key players, we see Kyle Hamilton got nicked last night, and he was already wearing a knee brace because of a sprained MCL. So he kind of got nicked late in the ball game, and so you never know. It's a war of attrition, and you just try to hopefully go into the game as healthy as you possibly can, come out of the game as healthy as you possibly can. But we saw last night when a team turns the ball over, that's the greatest neutralizer. Because not only do you go down to their level, you raise them up to your level. And sometimes we saw what when the 49ers turned the ball over, if two teams are here, you start to turn the ball over, and now all of a sudden the other team goes there. And that's what we saw last night. But I've always thought since about 6 weeks ago, the Ravens were the best team in the AFC. I don't think we had a whole lot of questions about that Saturday. Right. But when they go on the road and they beat the 49ers like the 49ers had beaten everybody else over the last 6 weeks, I don't think there's a question that they're the best team. But that doesn't automatically place them into the Super Bowl. It's not like you get a bye because you've been dominating everybody, and so you're automatically into that game. They're still going to have to win 2 games in the playoffs, and they're still going to have to, finish out the regular season. But it does prove to me that they're the best team in the NFL, although it doesn't automatically guarantee them a spot in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think the best thing that I love what you just said is don't be a prisoner of the moment, right? Is that as good as they played last night, and as well as they executed offensively and defensively, they were off the charts. Man, Queen, Smith, the 2 linebackers, they're playing lights out everywhere. They pass rushed as well as I've seen them against a good offensive line, compressed the pocket, made Purdy uncomfortable. All the things they did last night. To your point, you're always worried about how we stay health-wise at this point in the season, right? And listen, even for the 49ers, Trent Williams goes out with a groin pull, right? Purdy gets a stinger. All of a sudden, a team that we thought is the number 1 team in the league for the last 4 or 5 weeks, man, they may drop way down. These guys are injured and they can't go play. 49ers ain't the same team without Trent Williams. Like, let's be real. That is an absolute dude, right? So when you look at these kinds of situations, I think what the Ravens did last night was extremely impressive. I thought what John Harbaugh did, and you made this point, the first point, man, he backs his dudes, right? Like, 4th down, absolutely. Give it to Gus. We're going to go score. We ain't going back. We're not going to be scared. We're not going to play tentative. We're going to full on press the gas. And that's when it was kind of a slow start, really, for them, right?
It was.
Safety, and he did not move off the number. And I think that's the part that you respect so much about the Ravens. But to your point, when you hit the playoffs, execution is going to be key, right? The way defenses lock onto you. And it is a game of attrition as the playoffs continue because those games don't come free. Bro, you're laying it out there. Everybody's intensity is up. Everybody's playing fast. The way the games go.
By the 49ers, it was the Ravens that brought their show on the road. The first team with 5 picks in the game this season. Their defense overwhelmed. The front runner at the start of the game, MVP Brock Purdy, picked him off what looked like a very promising drive to start the opening possession, Ocho. Kyle Hamilton made a great play on the ball. He intercepted it, and they really never looked back from that point. The offense scored 7 points and scored points on 7 straight possessions. The Ravens offense scored points on 7 straight possessions and led by as many as 21. And I know the final score was 33-19, but the score, it wasn't indicative of what a demolition job the Ravens did on the 49ers. The Baltimore Ravens have won 5 straight games and can clinch the number 1 seed next week with a win against the Miami Dolphins. Ocho, when you look at this game, what was a couple of your big takeaways?
Obviously, when I had picked, thinking about it, I had picked the Ravens to win the game. But then I thought about how could the Ravens win this game with a high-powered offense, the juggernaut offense that is the 49ers. And the first thing I thought about, and when it comes to NFL games, it's all about matchups. It's all about matchups and schemes. And how well do the Ravens defense match up against the 49ers offense? It's all about personnel. It's all about personnel and the players you have at each position and how does each position match up individually. And they match up really well. Really well. But what scared me about this game is they had the turnovers early. They had the turnovers early. They got 1 touchdown to the turnovers, but they had 2 field goals. They had 2 field goals, and I kept thinking to myself, well, if you just getting field goals, that'll still get you beat because the offense of the 49ers is very high powered, and they had
Yes.
3 interceptions. 49ers went down and scored, and all of a sudden, it was a 1-point game. You hadn't capitalized at all, so that kind of scared me a little bit about it. And I had tweeted it out. I said, "Listen, the Ravens, if you're gonna get these turnovers, you're gonna have to score points, not no goddamn field goals.
Right.
Let's make it a barn burner and run away with the game. So defensively, you can force the 49ers to make mistakes and get outside of their game plan and what they really like to do." And listen, they ended up winning. Lamar is 21-1 versus NFC teams in his career.
Yeah. Best since I think it's best since Stabler since the merger.
He was 23 for 35 for 252, 2 TDs. Zay Flowers, is nice, man. Zay Flowers is very nice.
But the thing was, you mentioned the 22 or 35, Ocho, 252 and 0 touchdowns. But it was clean,
no interceptions,
game. No fumbles,
no
picks.
interceptions, no picks. Zay was 9 for 72 in the TD. The Ravens have won 9 of the last 10 games. 9 of the last 10 games, plus they had 4 sacks on Purdy. Listen, the remaining schedule for the Ravens, obviously, they had a gauntlet of games to play. The last 4, they got the Dolphins and the Steelers coming up. The Dolphins, that's another test, another playoff atmosphere type game against the Dolphins, which has another high-powered offense, just like the 49ers.
Because the Dolphins want that number 1 seed also.
Yeah. They want everything to come through Miami.
Yep. You're right. You're absolutely right. The Ravens get 5 turnovers, 4 sacks, 2 on Purdy, 2 on Sam Darnold. But I thought the thing, Ocho, when you look at and for like the last 5 weeks, I think everybody had come to the conclusion the 2 best teams in the NFL were the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. Okay. I said we're gonna find out what you got going on come Christmas. Now, when you got 2 teams and we're right here, what's the one thing that can put the other team way up on top of you? Turnovers.
Yeah.
You look at what the 49ers. The 49ers had been beating people. The Ravens did to them what they had been doing to other teams. When you turn the ball over that many times, Ocho, it's hard for you to win. I don't care how great your offense is, and I don't care how great your defense is. The likelihood of you keeping them to kick field goals, that's great. But the likelihood when you got a guy that's won the MVP, he's in the MVP discussion right now, and now he's probably in the lead, considering the guy that Purdy was in substantial lead in front of Lamar. But considering how bad he looked and how good Lamar looked, it's hard for me to see a scenario that he's not the favorite. And I believe Christian McCaffrey, who was in third, is now in second, considering that he looked good and Purdy looked so bad. But Lamar, deservingly so, deserved to be in the MVP discussion because he was good with it. He was good. He didn't turn the ball over. He made plays. You see, the thing is, Ocho, when I watched the 49ers, and I watched them very closely, they're a team that like to jump off the ball and go get the quarterback. But if you see how they rush right down the man. They didn't want to give him lanes that he can take off running. Well, you make the offensive line job very easy if you don't get on edges. So now all they just do is anchor, let you walk him back step by step, and now Lamar has time to survey the field. Because the one thing it seemed like they didn't want to do is give him a lane and let him jump out the window and take off.
And this is what I liked about Lamar tonight, though. This is what I like about Lamar, because coming out, they say, oh, he's a running back. He's a running back. But now his game has evolved to the point where now I'm a drop back passer. And I'm not running the ball unless I have to, unless I have no goddamn hell in choice, hell high water. I got to take off and run it. And then he out here acting like Houdini with it. Not only is he escaping the pocket, so the 49ers had their game plan. Can I ask you a question? Where was Bosa tonight?
They rendered the defensive line because Bosa likes to bend the edge. Everybody wants to bend the edge. Ocho, if I run upfield, what you think Lamar gonna do? He's gonna step up in one of them lanes and he's gone.
Right.
So now it's like Ocho is gonna be one of those games. Ocho, we not gonna, that pass rush, so everything's gonna be quick. or we're gonna try to
Right.
run the ball. And then everybody look up and say, man, look at Ocho numbers. Ocho ain't have no chance to get the ball because the offensive line wasn't gonna be able to hold up. And see, that's the thing. At the end of the day, you got, and I understand what Steve Wilkes, the defensive coordinator, was trying to do. He's like, guys, we don't want to give him an edge. We don't want to give him lanes. We don't give it. We just want, but at some point in time, you said, look, guys, we tried it this way and we can't get him on the ground. At some point in time, we got to change it up, Ocho.
Right.
I mean, they say, Ocho, hey, Ocho, you got to go to the coach. Coach, the dude sitting outside, I can't run the out. He playing outside leverage. Give me an in cut. Give me a dig. Give me something that I'm breaking away because he's playing outside leverage because he don't want me to run by him and he don't want me to run the speed out. Well, at some point in time, you got to say, hey, go get the quarterback. And if he gets a lane, he gets a lane.
That's on me if he does. Clearly, if he's on me, he does. Yeah.
Because how many times did he buy time, find Zay Flowers, buy time, find Bateman, buy time, find Likely.
Yeah.
Nhập đôi vào. Sau đó thì mình sẽ cắt bớt nó đi nhé, bởi vì mình đang thấy nó hơi bị to nhé các bạn. Đây. Mình sẽ gập cái phần này vào, sau đó thì mình sẽ cắt cả hai cái nha. Các bạn cứ gập đôi nó vào cho mình như này thôi. Rồi, gập nó vào như này. Sau đó thì các bạn gập đôi vào và sau đó thì mình sẽ mới cắt bớt nó đi nhé. Đây, các bạn sẽ cắt bớt nó đi. Nhưng mà thay vì việc là mình sẽ cắt thẳng, bây giờ thì mình sẽ cắt chéo nó đi một tí. Đây, các bạn, mình sẽ cắt chéo nó đi một chút như này. Đối với cái phần bên này thì các bạn cũng cắt tương tự. Các bạn cũng đặt cái phần tờ giấy màu trắng trước này. Các bạn sẽ cắt đi cho mình như này nha. Rồi, sau đó thì mình sẽ dán các cái phần này lại với nhau để tạo thành một cái hình tròn nhé. Dán vào đây. Rồi, tiếp theo cái phần này các bạn dán vào đây giúp mình. Rồi, sau đó thì mình sẽ dán cái phần hai cái phần nửa này, mình tạo thành một cái nhá, mình dán thành một cái vòng tròn nhé. Và mình sẽ căn xem cái phần này nó sẽ rồi, ok, mình thấy nó to như này là vừa nhé. Các bạn sẽ cân đối với cái phần cánh quạt màu xanh nhá. Dán vào đây, tiếp tục các bạn dán vòng nó xuống đây để tạo thành một cái vòng tròn. Đây, để cho cái phần này nó rực rỡ hơn thì các bạn có thể đổi màu nhé. Các bạn có thể đổi màu đỏ và cái phần màu vàng để nhìn cho nó có sự nổi bật và nó sẽ rực rỡ hơn. Còn đây là cái cách mà mình hướng dẫn thôi nên là mình sẽ chỉ có hai cái phần màu này thôi. Bây giờ chúng ta sẽ dán cái phần màu vàng này lên trên cái phần màu xanh nhé. Các bạn dán theo ở giữa cái phần màu vàng này là phần màu trắng này. Sau đó mình sẽ dán lên bên trên cái phần màu xanh, dán một nửa bên trên nhé các bạn, và một nửa thì nó sẽ nằm ở bên dưới nhé. Mình sẽ dán nó hơi lửng lơ một tí như thế này.